So the 5-time major champion and first player to ever reach 5 wins on LIV Golf, Brooks Koepka, has decided he's no longer going to be playing on LIV. And he is shutting it down and saying, I need to spend more time with my family. I'm out. I thought the reason you went to LIV was to spend more time with your family. And now he needs more time with his family. All right. I think we're all smart enough to realize that that's probably not the most accurate answer. Okay. Unless there's some family issues, turmoil going on that he needs to deal with. But hopefully that's not the case. And typically, from what we've learned from the past is if there is some family turmoil going on, you probably want to spend less time at home versus more. So I don't think that's the case. So why would Brooks Koepka want to leave? I mean, rumors are swirling about. CEO Scott O'Neill of LIV says we've reached mutual decision, amicable agreement, whatever you want to call it, that he will not compete on the LIV Golf Tour any longer. And so the new captain of Smash GC will be Taylor Gooch. Who the fourth player is, I guess, remains to be seen. So why would the guy who had a pretty good year in 2025 want to shut it down? I mean, he finished 33rd, 7th, 35th. He got a second at Singapore. 18th, 30th, like he did pretty well, just withdrew one time in Dallas, illness, injury, nothing really major. And the 12th, T12 at the 2025 US Open, I mean, all was good for Brooks Koepka. Here's my journalistic work came up with this idea and reason he could get out. A lot of people were speculating that, hey, if you collect $100 million for this contract term, you owe some of it back. Some are saying not only do you owe it all back, you owe 2 to 4 times the amount for breaching your contract. Well, that I don't believe is the case. From what I've learned is this. The contract for LIV was essentially you play on our tour. Here's the structure of the tour, which equals 3 rounds of golf, of competitive golf. 3 rounds. Here's how our league works. Here's your money. Thank you very much. Now we're going to change our tour and make it 4 rounds. Everything else stays the same. And you're like, no. That was the perfect opportunity and perfect time to get out. Because you can't just say, hey, work for our company 3 days a week, and now for the same amount of money, you're going to now have to work an extra day. It just doesn't work that way. Just look at where they're traveling to. We're going to Saudi Arabia, Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Miami, Mexico, Korea, Spain. Like, you're traveling all over the globe, all right? And when you go from 3 rounds now to 4 rounds of competitive golf, you bring a whole lot of other things into the mix that weren't there before. One is you either have to get there an extra day early, so you're adding a day, or you just have to suffer the consequences of massive jet lag and time schedules around the globe. That's not easy to deal with. So you're dealing with a whole nother day of travel or day of work that you have to add to the schedule, which is worldwide. It's very different going from Florida to Riyadh versus Florida to California from where Brooks lives. Like if you're playing a US-based tour versus worldwide-based tour, you're talking 3-hour time difference versus 8, 10, whatever. Like it's difficult. For those of you who travel a lot, you would understand that. Doesn't matter if you're flying first class or not, the time changes for everybody, and that's difficult. So adding that extra day of competitive golf makes it challenging. Now you got to travel an extra day. You got to make sure your body's prepared for that additional day. Also, when you're dealing with those 4 days in places like Singapore and Hong Kong or wherever you go, it doesn't matter. But weather becomes a huge concern. So you have more chance that a day gets rained out and that tournament gets pushed to even another day. And for that global tour and that travel schedule, that makes things very, very difficult. So if you want it out, now would be the perfect time to do so, because you haven't yet committed to the 4-round schedule. Also, if you leave, and a lot of people are speculating that Brooks is going to go back to the PGA Tour. He is exempt in his major championships, most of them, the PGA forever, but the others through like 2028. So he only has a few years left of exemptions into the majors. So what happens is, if he commits to LIV for that 4-round schedule for 2026, then he's essentially by default accepting the new terms of the contract legally. And then he couldn't get out, or it would be financially detrimental to him to do so later. So he would have to wait for his next contract to be up, and I would imagine they were going to lock him down with a new contract for a long period of time, which would have extended past that 2028 deadline, where he would then no longer be in the major championships, except for the PGA Championship, unless, of course, he were to win or get further exemptions by placing high enough in those major championships. So the timing was perfect. So what would be his current suspension on the PGA Tour if he were to try to get back? And I think he's going to. That's just my predictions. Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, please, and what you think he is ultimately going to do. I think it's going to be this. In 2026, he applies for reinstatement onto the PGA Tour. There is currently a 1-year suspension. If you went to LIV, you have to sit out a year. Okay. Here's what's interesting. That begins from the last event you played in on the competing tour, which was in August of 2025. So essentially, Brooks' suspension could end August 24th of 2025. So this year, what would that mean he gets? Well, he gets the 4 major championships: PGA, Augusta National, the Masters, US Open, and the Open Championship. Then he could also play in Asian Tour events. So he could still get in competitive golf while at the same time competing in those 4 major championships. Also, there might be a new rule created for players who want to migrate back from LIV to the PGA Tour. And there might be a new pathway created, which is highly rumored that it will happen. We will see. But if that's the case, then what is happening to Brooks is that he is taking an opportunity to get out while he can without it financially costing him from LIV. And potentially just saying, I'll take the year if that's the worst case scenario. It's 8 months from now, and he gets back full status or status back on the PGA Tour, and he could get his card back. I think if the family thing is just like something for the media to jump on and say, oh, it's a family decision, then if that's just what that is, and he's really doing let's say the back door into the PGA Tour, brilliant. I think it's a brilliant move. I think what we're seeing now with the new CEO of the PGA Tour and the direction they're heading, and that new schedule for LIV worldwide, it makes now, if you want to spend more time with your family, now the PGA Tour makes a lot more sense than LIV Golf, because it's primarily localized in the United States. You can cherry pick signature events. There's going to be less events. The schedule is going to be condensed. The season's going to be condensed. It's actually going to be a great place to compete at the highest level in the world of golf. So, is Brooks the smartest guy in the room right now? Or is he making a huge mistake? I think you always want to be like the first one in the stock, right? You want to be in Bitcoin when it's like 10 cents, obviously. But, so that's where you want to get in. He was one of the first ones in. He was early on in LIV, pretty early. So he went in, and now he's cashing out when the stock is still high comparatively. But that PGA Tour stock is about to skyrocket. That's my take. What's yours? Let me know below. Thanks for listening. Good luck out there.